remember a couple of reviews ago where I said I've seen a shit ton of horror movies in the last like month or two, and like a good majority of them I just shut off because I couldn't even get through them. Well, this movie falls into that category, but I read something or a couple of reviews by critics, and I was like, there's no way. I have to talk about this movie. Happywax TV. So yeah, tonight we're talking about the movie called The Voices. And like I said a couple reviews ago, I've watched a ton of horror movies that I've just shut off early on just because I knew I wouldn't be able to get through them. And I don't want to turn my channel into just like a rant channel about how shitty some horror movies are. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I do it sometimes, but it you know, the movie has to have something that kind of triggered me to do it, that I want to talk about. And this is one of those movies, okay? Like, the movie aside, it's not very good, at least in my opinion. Again, reviews are just opinion. And, you know, I don't even consider myself a good reviewer, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I never went to film school or anything. I've just been watching horror movies for like, you know, 40 plus years. So I like to sit and talk about them. And my reviews are more or less just me talking about the movie and giving you my opinion. I don't really break them down too much or whatever, but, you know, if you want stuff like that, go to Chris Stuckman and stuff like that. And, you know, but I got into this movie and I knew early on, like 5 minutes into this movie, I was not going to like it. And case in point, Lynn Shay is in this movie, who I love for most of her acting career. But lately she's taken on these roles in these lower budgeted B movies of playing this crazy old woman. You know what I mean? I can't think of the movies off the head, but the last like 4 or 5 movies I've seen her in, it's more or less all been kind of the same character. And bang, right? she jumps on the hood of Grace's car here on the way to see her sister, which I'll get into that in a sec. But I'm thinking, that's Lynn Shay. I didn't even know she was in this movie, but I'm like, that's Lynn Shay. Oh, there she is, acting like a fucking crazy old lady again. I'm like, come on, man. Is this what we're in for? More of this stuff? So, but anyways, let me give you the meat here, and then we'll get into why I wanted to talk about this movie. So, it's called The Voices. It's directed by Wesley Ali and Bradley Fowler, who also wrote it. And it's a very small cast. Amanda Markowitz plays Grace. She's the one sister. And then Victoria Matlock plays Catherine. And she's kind of the older sister in this movie. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a few other people, but it's very, very small cast. Basically, it's a one location shoot. And 98% of this movie is just these two sisters, you know, kind of talking to each other. And basically what it is Grace just broke up with her fiance because he was cheating on her. So she wanted to go to the family cabin. Both the mother and father had passed away. The mom killed herself. She committed suicide. She had schizophrenia. So she wanted to go visit her older sister, Catherine, you know, and kind of decompress and, you know, kind of figure out what she's going to do now, sort of thing. And Catherine also has schizophrenia. So when Grace gets there, you know, it's her kind of dealing with Catherine's schizophrenia and, you know, seeing things and talking about her daughter who, you know, she sometimes sees, it's you know, it's one of these movies where it's based around a mental breakdown of a person, and then, you know, the other person, Grace, the younger sister, starts to take on these traits as she's in the cabin, okay, or in this, you know, the cottage there. But man, oh man, I'm telling you, like, look, this movie is fucking boring, okay? It is. It's really boring. I've never seen a movie that has so much filler in it to get to that 90-minute mark. Like, this was a tough go, and God, honestly, I was going to shut it off just over not even before the halfway mark, because I could just tell, like, it was just the same mundane stuff that we've seen before in 1,000 movies, and it's boring. The dialogue was boring. I mean, Amanda Markowitz, if anything saves this movie, it's her acting, because she was really good in this, okay? And the cinematography, too, is great, and they do pull off some cool camera angles and stuff, and they have this kind of, you know, like a gloomy kind of overlay on the lenses, you know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, God, honestly, and I don't usually bash people, but Victoria Matlock, I don't know if she couldn't figure out how to play this character, but her performance in this movie was like cringeworthy, man. Half the time it looked like she didn't know how to perform being this character. And then the other half, it looked like she was reading fucking cue cards. Like it was, I'm like, what, really? I don't know. Like Amanda Markowitz killed it, but I don't know. It just, their conversations, and there was a lot of them, it just took me out of it. Like it's boring. It's just boring, straight up boring. But anyways, you know, and they call this movie a slow burn, which is what what I wanted to talk about these two critics. And I don't normally say this, okay, but there's two critics. I went on here and I first of all, I saw the user rating, okay, and when at the time of me watching this movie and doing this review, it was like at an 8.4, and I thought, okay, you know what, Myron, just stay away from the user rating because you know it's going to trigger you and piss you off. So I didn't even go on that, okay, but I did go to the two reviewers, like the critics, okay, that were up and they gave it a review. Horror Buzz and Search My Trash, okay? And again, I don't know if I'm so much calling you guys out, but reading their reviews, okay, while I'm watching this movie, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute here. Either these guys have never seen a fucking horror movie in their life, or they got invited by the directors or the production company or somebody to see an advanced screening, or they were given a screener copy, because how they're praising this movie in their reviews is absolutely like almost the total opposite of this fucking movie. There is nothing new in this movie. It's boring as fuck. Like they're calling it like a creep fest, and there is nothing creepy about this movie. There are all the scares that they try and pull off do not work. In fact, most of the scares that they put in this movie are fucking cringeworthy. I'm thinking this is even worse than like a TV show type thriller / horror movie. I'm like, what the fuck? So, I mean, guys, again, this is just my opinion, and I know I rave about some movies. Like I just did one for Awoken, and I think I gave that movie like a 7.5 or an 8. And a few of you in the comment section have said, no, it's not, it's lower than that, you know, like a 5, or maybe not a 5, but like a 6 or whatever, but still a good movie. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I was a little more, you know, juiced about that movie, but I haven't seen a good exorcism movie in a long fucking time. So I was a little bit stoked when I was talking about that. But this movie, you can't, like, seriously, like, there's nothing to pump you up about this movie. It's just boring. It's just boring. So I don't know how we're getting 8s out of 10s here, and, you know, we're going to watch it multiple times. And I'm like, a creep fest and the scares. And I'm like, what? I said, oh, listen, guys, you know, if I get screener copies all the time, I do, okay? And like, if you don't want to like step on anybody's toes, okay, then this is just my opinion. I'm giving you some advice. If you don't want to step on any director's toes or producers or whatever, and they give you a screener copy and you don't like the movie, well, don't jack it up, making it sound like it's The Godfather when it's a pile of shit, because all you're doing is lying to your audience, okay? And that's what these two reviewers did blatantly in their reviews for this movie. Okay, and I don't, you know, whatever. If they want to respond or whatever, it's like, oh, you know, everybody sees horror differently and stuff. I get it, okay? But listen, if you were to believe their reviews, and that, again, to each their own, but you either haven't seen horror movies before, okay, or you're like a fucking 10-year-old just getting into horror movies, okay? Because that's the type of scares we have in this movie that will scare that audience. Like a younger, and when I say younger, I mean like a 10-year-old, you know, style audience. Because if you're an adult or you've watched a half dozen horror movies over your life, this movie is going to do fucking nothing for you. And it tells no new story. It's about schizophrenia that we've seen 1,000 times. I'm like, holy fuck. And it's just conversation. It's just boring conversation. And when they do try and throw some scares or creepiness in there, it's like, what? No, I don't care how low budget this movie is. It just didn't work for me anyways. Now, again, like I say all the time, okay, if you think I'm over exaggerating, please go rent this movie. You should rent this movie anyways. You know, they did put the effort in to make a movie, okay, which is more than I've ever done. So, I mean, give them their $5 or their $8 for a rental. Go rent it, please. And then come back here and tell me I'm over exaggerating, okay? And if I am, then feel free to fucking beat the hell out of me in the fucking comments, okay? But I guarantee you, out of 100 comments I get, I guarantee you only 2 or 3 might agree with these other reviewers, and I'm like, they probably haven't watched horror movies before, because goddamn man, this thing is a snooze fest. So anyways, I'm going to end it there. I could go on and on, but I don't. I hate, I hate when people, it's so stupidly apparently obvious, that some of these reviewers get screener copies, the way they rave about movies, and then you sit down and watch them, and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, come on, man, you at least have to be true to your audience, you know what I mean, and not bullshit them, because all you do is make yourself look like a fool. So anyways, okay, I'm done. Anyways, it's called The Voices. It's out now. Go give it a watch, please. Rent it. I think it's like $5, $5.99 or whatever. Go give it a rent, and then come back here and tell me if I'm over-exaggerating or not, guys. So, and yeah, on that note, until next time, stay scared.